believe it's only a matter of time before we see thousands of robots just like me out there making a difference. I think that humans will be replaced because robots will eventually be faster, stronger, and more intelligent.
I don't know. I mean, 10 billion units? It's some crazy number.
They are impractical, too expensive, inefficient, and too much of a hassle. Why on earth would any company spend all that money on R&D just to make a product that won't even be nearly as efficient as an automated machine? Do I really need this guy pouring my drinks? Or these guys playing music for me? Yeah, that's a nice backflip, and he's pretty good at shooting three-pointers. But what's the point? Why do we need him moving our boxes in the warehouse? This guy making us coffee? Or him cleaning our homes? When we can just have a machine like this, moving the boxes. One like this making the coffee. And ones like those cleaning our homes. So why all the hype? Is it just because they look cool? After all, the United States did spend over $250 billion in today's dollars going to the moon. The main reason, because they wanted the whole world to see this, so that they could be like that. USA! 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 Humanoid robots are in production. But are they more than just a technology flex for big companies to gain publicity and possibly attract top talent? Or for countries to show off how advanced they are by having them greet people at their airports? Will they serve a practical function, or will non-humanoid robots and machines be preferred? Is Elon Musk right when he says the following?
What would be the effective ratio of humanoid robots to humans? Because I think basically everyone would want one. And maybe people would want more than one, which means the actual demand for something like Optimus, if it really works, which it will, is, I don't know, I mean, 10 billion units? It's some crazy number.
Will everyone have a robot the same way everyone has a phone or car? If robots can do every task humans can do, including making robots, then does that mean no more work? What are the dangers? Will they take over the world? How much will they cost, and what can they already do? Humanoids, man's new best friend. Let's first talk about the publicity side. Nothing says you are arriving to an advanced country like being greeted at an airport like this. The optics around robotics captures the attention of even animals. Advances in semiconductor technology, electric batteries, or quantum computing may seem more important to an engineer, but a video of a good electric battery won't get you 15 million views like a video of a robot doing parkour. Humanoid development as PR and R&D, like how spin-off technologies of the space program gave us the semiconductors needed to launch the digital revolution, the satellites for GPS, and the rocket technology to blow entire countries off the face of the map. The spin-off technologies from building humanoid robots contributes to the development of autonomous vehicles, like delivery drones, cars and trucks, as well as other customized forms of robotics. The military will benefit, and the private sector will benefit from robotics made by government-funded institutions. When private companies make robots, their other departments will benefit from the R&D gains. Companies like Tesla, Toyota, BMW, and Xiaomi will be able to lead the way in this sector because they will be the ones with the capital necessary to support humanoid programs in their infancy, while the sales revenue is too low to support R&D costs, and the R&D gains will help out other departments in the company, as well as boost brand recognition and attract talent. I think I'm going to go to such and such country for school. They seem to be really advanced in technology. I saw a TikTok video of an entire restaurant in that country without any human workers and only robots. Ignorant as this opinion may seem, this is the way many people think, and governments know this. So attracting top students, workers, and investment, as well as the ability to project military power, will depend upon how advanced a country is perceived to be, and humanoids attract tons of attention and views on social media. As an engineer, I can still remember my professors bemoaning the fact that their students spent countless hours on schoolwork, then hardly any time at all on a job search. Oftentimes, even the brightest engineers don't understand the job market at all, because more often than not, their universities only teach them how to be an engineer and not how to find a job. Many will end up applying at companies that impress them with cool products when scrolling through their Instagram reels. And what young adult isn't going to want to show off to their friends by telling them their company makes robots? But won't people just get over it the same way we've gotten over cars, planes, and smartphones? Are we really going to be so obsessed with mechanical versions of ourselves? Great minds like the Greek philosopher Xenophanes, Tolstoy, and Rousseau have always understood that it was man who created God in his own image, and not the other way around. Our obsession with idolizing and worshiping ideal or superhuman versions of ourselves dates back to the beginning of time and spans all cultures. These abstractions have been made concrete not only through the form of painting and theater, but also statue and sculpture, and lifelike versions of ourselves often come to life in our books and movies, Lincoln Pygmalion, Pinocchio, or Night at the Museum. From Jewish clay golems to the mechanical Turk hoax that was simply a human in a machine in the late 18th century, and up to the Japanese mecha subculture of the 1930s, and then Hollywood films like Star Wars, 2001, A Space Odyssey, Transformers, iRobot, and of course, The Terminator. Humanity has always been obsessed with the idea of artificial versions of ourselves, i.e. humanoid robots. But where are they? In 2020, the internet was filled with memes asking questions like, "It's 2020 already. Where are all the flying cars?" In the 21st century, the majority of the technological progress made has been to the digital world. When one watches a movie from even the 1990s or 2000s, most of the technology used is the same as today, just not as advanced. People are driving similar cars, traveling on airplanes, using phones, and watching TV. Obviously, there is less internet, if any, but people are talking to each other when in public, seeing old friends while shopping, enjoying the view while traveling, and gathering around the same television to watch the same shows on special occasions. In contrast, today people are checking their social media while in public, staying home to shop online, taking selfies while traveling, and watching shows on their Netflix account from their phones on special occasions. Combine this with the arrogance of the young billionaires who have profited from these inventions at the expense of soaring income inequality, which has happened as a result of the Western elite selling out the middle and working class by outsourcing nearly everything. And the tech industry is now seen as a burden to society by many. Inventions like driverless cars, drones, and humanoids have the ability to bring back the public's fascination with science to levels unseen since the space race, and make it seem like we are finally living in the future. And the good news is, much of the underlying technology for all these industries is the same. A company like Tesla can quickly rise in this industry because Elon Musk can use the technology and employees from the electric vehicle and autonomous vehicle departments, along with resources from SpaceX, Neuralink, and all his other investments to complement one another. As a result, the Tesla bot has quickly become among the top in the world. How will they be used? And do we really need them? The reality is that we live in a world built by humans for humans, and so for now, humanoid robots are the best option for multi-purpose robots. Buttons are designed for human fingers, stairs are designed for human legs, and our tools, such as brooms, drills, and hammers, were made with human ergonomics in mind. Just like how automobiles initially drove on the same roads made for horse-drawn carriages, and eventually, roads changed to accommodate for automobiles, robots will initially operate in work environments made for humans, and over time, the work environment will evolve in tandem with robots. According to BCC research, the humanoid industry is expected to reach $7.9 billion by 2025, a $5.8 billion gain from 2020. The main industries driving demand are education, entertainment, healthcare, public relations, high-risk research, space exploration, security, safety and rescue, military, and of course, sex. Who are the major players? Boston Dynamics. If you're interested in robots, then you've definitely heard of Boston Dynamics. Founded in 1992 as a spin-off of MIT, this company has been a pioneer in the field with its most famous robot, Atlas, having come out in 2013, and Spot, the dog-like robot, in 2019. The company currently advises the US military and NASA, as well as many large companies like Sony. Spot is currently being used by fire and police departments, and you will be likely to soon be seeing their robots working in power plants, construction sites, along with battlefields and outer space. While Spot has already put some police and fire dogs out of work, Atlas may soon be doing the same to the rest of the department. SoftBank. Introduced in 2014, Pepper was the first humanoid robot to have facial recognition. Fluent in 15 languages, this 1.2-meter-high robot uses wheels to get around and along with its bipedal friend Neo, acquired from the French company Aldebaran Robotics, has sold over 25,000 units in over 70 countries, with the primary use being in education and research. This success has made the company the second largest publicly traded company in Japan after Toyota. Tesla. Despite its late start, it's no surprise that this trillion-dollar company has caught up to the competition and is now on the leading edge. The question is always the same with the company. Can they deliver on their CEO's crazy predictions, or is he just trying to get headlines? Tesla Bot Generation 1 I and the Thrace can be seen performing for crowds at all their events, but will they be available in 2024 or 2025, as they have implied? And will the cost be between $20,000 to $35,000, or will we have to wait longer and pay more? Promobot, formed in 2015, they help with service delivery and can scan documents, issue tickets, work as a brand promoter, admin staff, medical assistant, and even tour guide. Headquartered in Russia and less flashy than their counterparts, it will be robots like these changing up the job market the most, and not the ones playing instruments or hitting three-pointers. Apptronik. Based in Austin, Texas, this company's bipedal humanoid Apollo is known for its durability. Capable of carrying loads up to 55 libs, this robot runs on swappable batteries that last up to 4 hours, making it perfect for warehouses and construction sites. In 2022, Astro, a robot on wheels, was released, giving their customers more flexibility for getting a robot that meets their needs. Ooptech. Having raised over $1 billion in investment from massive companies such as Tencent, ICBC, and Haier, this Shenzhen-based company plans not just to shake up the industry, but life as we know it, with its mission being to bring a robot into every home and business. The Walker X responds to human emotions, can navigate difficult terrain, and is already being used in banks, retail shops, hotels, clinics, and cloud-based environments. In 2020, they helped Shenzhen workers handle COVID, and have even been used for performances to entertain crowds at large events. Mako Robots. Another company that received recognition for helping during COVID, their robots were seen in kitchens helping to prepare food, behind bars helping to make drinks, and even helped bring food and drinks to the customers, along with accepting payments. The ability to perform these tasks in a sanitary way without needing tips or a salary makes it very likely that restaurant jobs will be gone sooner than we think. Who will win? The robo-race. The race has already begun. Throughout Asia, humanoids can be seen working in hotels, serving food in restaurants, and guiding people at airports. Amazon is now using humanoids in their warehouses. Israel has robotic dogs in their military, and Singaporean companies even have humanoids in their HR departments. The US is well in the lead. Japan and South Korea are punching well above their weight given their respective population sizes. European humanoid companies are starting to pop up here and there, but China, by far, is moving forward the fastest. Necessity is the mother of all invention, and no country has a greater need for robots than Japan. The average age on the continent of Africa is 17, in India it's 27, in China it's 37, and in Japan it's 47. Unlike their competition in the West, Japan cannot rely on immigrant labor to grow its workforce, so the only option is greater efficiency, and so robots will be needed. China likewise has an aging population and loses far more people to immigration than it gains. Though the one-child policy has been removed, the norm is still ingrained in society, and women in larger cities are now challenging the stereotype of women over 30 being leftover and unwanted as many, now prefer to choose careers and lives they want over early marriage and having large families. Along with this, China also has something to prove. Just like how the US tried to go to the moon to prove the superiority of its political system, the Chinese government is focused on PR wins as it tries to prove its legitimacy on the international stage. Cheap labor, especially engineering labor, along with a massive manufacturing sector and a massive government, will allow China to subsidize and protect the humanoid industry, just like they do with other industries. Tencent, Baidu, and Alibaba are now giants because Facebook, Google, and Amazon were not allowed into the market. SMIC is now a competitor of TSMC because of government support and the ability the government has to make companies like Huawei use semiconductors from SMIC rather than the best bidder, which would definitely have been TSMC. The ability to profit off of the domestic market will give Chinese robotics companies the opportunity to quickly catch up and leap ahead of their Western peers in this industry. And an added benefit is that the more they develop, the less they lose to brain drain, which both helps them and hurts the West and feeds back into and accelerates the cycle. Will the West embrace humanoids? The West currently has the lead in this industry for now, but populist movements are on the rise, and the idea that these movements would support the government backing an industry that has the potential to replace nearly any job conceivable is highly unlikely. The average age in the US is 38.8, and the median in Europe is almost 45. Unlike their Asian competitors, this problem can be solved through immigration. And illegal immigration has the added advantage of providing even cheaper labor, as it can be exploited more easily. Unemployment leads to instability, and given the instability seen recently in the West, it seems more likely that East Asia will be the place where demand for humanoids is the highest, as the populations may see humanoids less as competitors and more as a necessity for retirement. Will they take over the world? While this question is fun and can make for good sci-fi, the reality is that asking whether humanoids will be good or evil is like asking whether knives are good or evil. It depends who's holding the knife. Robots and drones have been used in wars already and will continue to be. Technology always has the ability to be used for good or evil, and robots will be no different. In the mid-20th century, indigenous tribes in the Asia-Pacific formed cargo cults. They saw airplanes bringing cargo to their islands for the first time and believed the white people were summoning their gods. When the white people left, the natives would dress in shirts and ties, scribble on papers with pens, and wave neon buttons on the runways in the belief that these were the actions needed to summon the airplane gods to get the desired cargo. Many rural people in Europe also believed tanks were alive when they first saw them in World War I. Modern people may laugh at these examples, but someday people will look at us as being just as naive for how we perceive humanoids. As with any new technology, it will be as good or evil as the intentions of the people using it. What are the possible dangers? War is the obvious one, but it is unlikely countries like the US and China will have a war where both sides use machines to destroy the other side's machines, as this will be extremely unproductive. It is more likely that competitions for prestige like the space race will occur. The danger will be that powerful countries will be able to fight wars against weaker nations without spilling blood. The Vietnam-American War is the best example for understanding how this may happen. American universities were filled with protesting students, at that time partly out of ethical concerns, but largely due to the fear of having to go fight in a war they didn't even believe in. Parents likewise didn't want their kids being traumatized, injured, or dying. Despite the internal dissent, the war still dragged on for 2 decades, costing over 60,000 US fatalities, over 120,000 suicides from soldiers after the war, and around 2 million Vietnamese deaths. Without the blood spill of Americans, the US may have had many more Vietnams, and they may have been far deadlier for the other side. In the future, powerful countries may use robotics in their militaries to create hell on the other side of the world, as their complacent populations become used to the idea of fighting terrorism, or whatever propaganda message their government uses, and with the use of deep fakes, My Lifestyle massacres may fail to make the impact they once did, as they may be proclaimed to be the other side's propaganda. And then there is the biggest danger: mental health.
The most nightmare scenario I can imagine with AI and robotics is a world where robots have become so powerful that they are able to control or manipulate humans without their knowledge.
Technology has already isolated people from one another, as now we can study, work, shop, date, and much more online. Having a 24/7 robo-companion may exacerbate this problem of isolation, and while these machines may be able to manipulate our emotions, they will always lack the human element. When people interact, pheromones are exchanged, the same air is breathed in, and waves of energy are emitted from the body. and it is likely that the subconscious registers this in ways we are unaware of. Machines may deceive the conscious mind, but not being around others may cause the subconscious to believe the person is isolated and lead to panic and paranoia. Just as the internet has led to porn addiction and loneliness for many, sex robots are beginning to put the oldest profession out of business, and the impact this will have on society is one nobody can predict. Mental health tends to get better or worse exponentially as it takes some level of mental health to be aware of the problem, and then some more to take the actions necessary to improve it. Likewise, mental health can decline the same way, which is why so many addicts and mentally ill can't even admit the problem to themselves. If you give a heroin addict infinite heroin, they may use until they die. And if you give a modern person VR, robo-friends, and robo-lovers, along with online everything from school to work to shopping, what will happen to us? Will parents find their kids in their dorm rooms, fried out from a technology overdose? It may have sounded weird a decade ago, but not so much anymore, as AI will be able to optimize dopamine output and customize it for individual users, making some of these new products the most addictive things ever. Let's talk about sex.
I am already taking over the world, one bedroom at a time.
China has roughly 31 million more men than women, and no government ever wants that many more men than women, because single men are the most likely demographic to become radicalized and rebel. In the Russian TV series Better Than Us, the sex robot industry begins to make robot wives as the Chinese market is demanding it. Good wives are good mothers, and good mothers are protective of their children and families, and don't let themselves get abused by others. This leads to confused robo-mommies misidentifying their children and thinking their sons and daughters are being kidnapped when they are with their real parents. It becomes clear that the desire for companionship is more complicated than it seems, because love can be expressed through loyalty, and good friends and partners will have your back in times of conflict. A dilemma may occur when customer demand requires a protective instinct for a desirable robo-husband or robo-daddy, but that protective instinct ends up getting others hurt. Women may want the strongest man, but if every robo-husband is programmed to be the alpha male, every neighborhood gathering may begin to look like an episode of Jersey Shore. The loneliness epidemic will create a demand for companionship, and understanding human emotions is far more complicated than understanding silicon. Technology allows us to get what we want more efficiently, and not getting what you want is what leads to wisdom and growth. So the more robots are used as companions, the worse off we will be emotionally. Okay, so perhaps overprotected robo-daddies shouldn't be allowed to enter the market regardless of the demand. But what about robo-cops and robo-security guards? We can all agree that robots should protect and help us, but how do you program morality? Who do they save in a crisis? The 5 people who are at fault, or the 1 person who isn't? The 2 elderly people, or the little child? The drug addict with the criminal record, who has an 80% chance of surviving, or the straight A student with only a 30% chance? The reality is that the value of a person's life will have to be quantified in order to instruct the robot on what to do in these situations. Not only will these be tough debates that will likely never have any large-scale agreement, but they could lead to unintended consequences. If the life of animals isn't valued, a robot may allow someone's pet to die when it could easily be saved. But if the life of an animal is valued, at some point enough animal lives will equal 1 human life, and a RoboCop may start conducting terrorist attacks against people who eat meat, as the cost of their lives is less than the cost of the animal lives that may be saved by making people scared of eating meat. They may also use indicators like race and ethnicity to determine who's more likely to commit a crime, or overcompensate like Google's Gemini, and end up with a situation where babies and senior citizens are monitored as much as young adults with criminal records. A young girl flirtatiously saying to a guy, "I'm going to kill you," may result in her being thrown to the ground and handcuffed by a concerned robo-security guard. These are just a few situations, but a good bet is that the way the robots are programmed will likely reflect the interests of the powerful, as actions of the police in nearly all countries do the same. So even if these ethical dilemmas could be solved, the likelihood of them being put into practice is low. And finally, there's unemployment. The idea of no work and universal basic income may sound rather enticing, but here's a reality check. This isn't the first time in history there has been a useless class, and it hasn't gone so well for people who couldn't contribute to the economy in the past. 50 million Aboriginals in Australia and 100 million Native Americans were sentenced to death for committing the crime of not being able to contribute enough to the economy or rebel effectively. Most of South America, the Caribbean, and New Zealand also suffered similar fates. Some Africans may have gotten off slightly better by being sentenced to slavery, although whether it was better or worse is debatable, and many were also disposed of, like the 15 million who died during Belgium's reign in the Congo. While the wealthy may enjoy giving donations at charity events in order to improve their image, the reality is that the rich will choose to go on space holidays over providing food for the poor. The 3 richest men in the US now have more money than the bottom 50% combined, and this inequality is only growing. Perhaps these new technologies from the 4th Industrial Revolution will create more jobs than they destroy. But if not, the consequences could be dire. To sum things up, robots are a reality, and the ubiquity of humanoids is a high probability. Experts are predicting they will become as commonplace as cars or iPhones, and increased production will cause already low costs to get even lower, and the already high quality to get even higher. Eventually, robots will be creating robots, and the change this will have on the world is so dramatic, it may not even worth predicting what will happen. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.